Okay. Could you please give me your full name as is recorded on your birth certificate?
Jason Paul Hitt.
Okay. Where were you born and raised, sir?
We were born in Lewis County on December 19th, 1952.
Okay. Today is July 27th, 2011, and we're going to be interviewing Mr. Joe Hitt about his military service. You joined the military in 1972, correct? Is that what you...
74.
74.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can you tell me why you, what led you to join?
I just felt it was something I wanted to do. I've had uncles that went into the military, and I guess I wanted to kind of follow in their footsteps.
Okay. What was your, where did you attend basic training at?
Fort Dixie, New Jersey.
Okay. Do you have any experiences during your basic training or anything like that that stand out in your mind?
Just the long marches that we had in the sand, it just made it rough on you. Just kind of hard to march in sand.
Yes. Okay. What was your first assignment after leaving basic training?
We got transferred to Fort Leonard, Missouri, where I went into water purification.
Okay.
Done 8 weeks training there.
Okay, all right. During your time there, you said you did 8 weeks training there. What did you do after that?
After that, I went to Fort Rucker, Alabama. I was stationed there for 1 year and 8 months.
Okay.
Well, worked on a supply unit.
I see. Okay. And when you first, I noticed you'd mentioned that you were in the Army the entire time. You're in the National Guard some, the reserves, and active duty, I guess.
Yeah.
And what was you at first?
Active duty first.
Active duty. Okay. All right. And when did you end your active duty time?
I went in 74 and out in 76, 77. And come back home and enlisted in the National Guard for 3 years.
I see. Okay. What would you say you remember most about your early military service during the 70s?
Well, I remember a lot about going out on field problems. Spent a little time out in the woods training. A lot of rifle time out on the rifle range to make sure we being able to fire with our rifles. Make sure they were up to standard.
Okay. All right. When did you? You said you were in the National Guard. When did you leave the National Guard?
I left there like 79.
Okay.
No, it was 78 I left National Guard.
Okay. When did you join the reserves?
It was 79.
79.
Yes.
Okay. And you were in the reserves, up until 97. Is that what you said?
97. 15 years, 6 months, something like that.
Okay. What were some of the duties associated with that time during the time you were in the reserves?
MP training, military police.
I see.
We pulled garrison duty in New York, there at the academy. I spent 2 weeks over in Korea. Went to England for 3 weeks. A lot of hands-on training there.
Was it mostly training for you, or did you have to train others, or both? Or?
That was mostly training for us.
I see. Okay. And you were called to serve in Iraq, correct?
Yes.
In the early 90s. Was you sent to Kosovo first? Was that or?
Let's see, we're in remember exactly where we went to. I don't know, we were at Cobar Towers, waiting to go out on out into the desert and set up for the prisoner of war camps.
Okay. What were the majority of your duties while in Iraq?
Prisoner of war camp. We took in prisoners, took care of them, make sure they got fed, got medical treatment.
Okay. Was there any, any sort of stressful situations that you recall that you'd like to talk about at all?
Well, it's not real stressful. The only thing we had come up against was the REAC force we was with. We got called out one night because prisoners were starting to act up. We got out there and there was a show of force. And all they was doing was mainly, raising a lot of heck and throwing rocks.
Yeah.
Wasn't a whole lot we could do.
Yeah. Okay. Did the climate over there and the sand or dirt, dust, did that affect your operations? So
At
too
time,
much?
yes. We got caught in the smoke from oil well fires over there. We spent a whole day in the smoke. You couldn't see hardly 3 foot in front of you.
How far do you think the wells were away from you?
I would say a good 30 miles.
And the smoke came in pretty heavy.
It did.
What were some of the things you guys did to combat that? I mean,
Wasn't a whole lot we could do. It was just an open area. Even if we stayed in the tents, it was filling up the tents with smoke too.
Yeah.
We had to deal with it the best we could.
Okay. Did you work with any foreign nationals during your time in Iraq?
Yeah, we worked with some of the Saudis over there. We was training them on taking over the camp when we got ready to leave.
I see. Okay. Was there any instances or any problems with the foreign nationals that you can recall?
I only tried to understand their language. We had Saudi interpreters that would help us out when we needed it.
But it was still a challenge.
Yeah, it was.
Okay. What do you say you remember most about your time overseas in Iraq?
Probably the first night that we got prisoners in, and we had to spend big part of the night searching, taking them into the camp area. We had 3 or 4 of them that were sick that had died on us that same night.
How were they brought in? I mean,
helicopter.
Helicopters. Were they operated by the Army too, or the Marines, or the Army? Okay. Let's see. As for sickness and things, did the camp experience a lot of sickness, or was it pretty much at first, or?
It pretty much experienced a lot of the sickness. They just weren't treated right from the way Saddam was doing. They weren't getting any medical treatment from him. Once they got to us, they got better medical treatment.
Let's see. What was your opinion of your officers throughout your entire military service?
We had pretty good officers. Some that I really enjoyed working with.
Okay. Was you aware of any of the officers that had been promoted from the ranks as opposed to schooled officers?
No.
No. Okay. All right. Did you? I'm sure you did, but did you take part in any sort of operations at night during your time in Iraq?
Yeah, we did. I had the night shift on working the camp as a guard. We would have to man the tires. They had 6 tires all over around the camp. We would man those tires.
How was the how was the prison or whatnot set up? I mean, was there were they kept in? How was it similar to what we have, here in the States, or?
They were kept in tents.
In tents?
Yes.
Okay. How did you keep them from escaping? I mean,
I had barbed wire fence all the way around. Probably about 10 foot high. With razor barbed wire at the top.
Were you guys actually inside that fencing with the prisoners?
Yeah.
I see. Okay. Did you know how long you were going to be in Iraq?
No, I had no idea at all how long it would be there. They figured 180 days, but it got shortened. So I think we were spending just like 3 months, something like that. We was actually over there.
I see. Okay. And you said you handed over the camp you guys were at to the Saudis at the time?
Yes.
I see. Okay. Where was the camp located?
I really can't remember where it's exactly located.
Okay. All right.
All I can remember was a lot of desert land.
Okay. All right. Let's go back and talk about some of your duties, beforehand. I mean, did you were you ever assigned any duties here in West Virginia?
We were worked parade duty down in Lost Creek. They had parades down there, and we were running traffic control for them.
I see. Okay. Were you overseas at any time with any other West Virginians?
Oh yeah.
From your, I guess from your unit, or what would it have been in the reserves?
363rd.
Okay. All right. So you actually got to spend a lot of time with fellow West Virginians.
Oh yeah. The guys from Kangaroo and from Grafton also.
Okay. All right. After your time in Iraq, when you finally got to, you knew you were coming home and whatnot, can you describe what it was like when you finally got to know that you're definitely coming back?
It was a relief, knowing that we were getting ready to come home. Like I said, we wasn't too sure how long we were going to be over there.
Yes.
We just got the word saying we was going to come home, and they got us ready. Let the Saudis take over, and had a pretty good home welcome.
Oh yes.
Welcome.
Okay. So was there an elaborate welcome at all for you guys, or I mean, was it family oriented, or was it more of a community wise?
Community wise, pretty much. And plus we got the family too. The family was all right there. Remember, we flew into Benenden.
Okay. Yeah. So you came back on planes, of course. Where did you leave from?
Flew out with, oh man, I can't remember that now.
Was it inside of Iraq, or did you go
yeah, it was.
Okay. All right. Were you able to make use of the GI Bill or anything like that during your time?
I didn't even try to use it.
Okay.
At the time.
All right. Have you been able to use the VA services?
Oh yes.
How long do you think you've been using those?
For the last 10 years now.
Okay. All right. Have you
had
Have you had a relatively good experience with them, or?
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
I've had a real good experience with them. They've got some great doctors. Great nurses.
And you mostly go up to the low, is it Clarksburg?
Clarksburg, yes.
Okay. All right. Well, do you have anything else you'd like to add? Possibly some advice for young people, or individuals possibly currently serving in the military?
The only thing I can say is if you're going to go into the military, be ready to go. And for the ones that are in there, got your back any time of war.
Do you ever, do you think, you know, your active duty for a while, do you ever look back on it and think that maybe you would have rather, you know, stayed in as active duty at that point?
Yeah,
or?
I did.
Was it a consideration at that time, though, or did
Nah,
you just...
not at that time it wasn't. I think the more time I spent back home with the National Guard and the more time I spent in the reserves was, I just felt maybe that I should have just stayed active on it.
But on the other hand, you probably got a lot, you know, during that time you got a lot more time close to home.
Yeah, I did. Plus I traveled more with the reserves than what I did with regular Army.
Oh yeah? Okay. Well, I'd like to thank you for your service to our country, and I'd like to thank you for doing this interview.
Thank you.